In this video, let's take a quick look at Safari security settings. That is a very common topic, and I think it's really important to understand what security settings you have in Safari. So let's go to Safari straight away and open up the settings from the Safari menu on top. And first, switch to Security tab. Here you will find 3 options, and all of them should be ticked on. The first here is about fraudulent sites warnings. Google keeps a database of some trouble sites. Usually it is a website which looks like a legitimate one, such as bank page, financial institution, or email service provider. And the goal of these websites is to steal your personal information, like your username, password, and other account information. So if you are trying to open such a website, you will get notified about it to rather avoid such page. JavaScript, on the other hand, is a scripting language that makes the pages work. JavaScript enables to use dynamically updating content, the multimedia, animate images, well, pretty much everything else. 90% of the content of the pages needs JavaScripting, so you should definitely leave this on. The new Safari setting, warn before connecting to a website over HTTP. In macOS Tahoe, this is another security feature that protects you from visiting some unsecured websites. When you visit a site that uses HTTP, not HTTPS, your connection is not encrypted, meaning that anyone on the same network could potentially see your data. Modern websites typically use HTTPS, so this warning mainly appears for some older or poorly configured sites. With this setting enabled, Safari will now display a warning before loading such sites, reminding you that this site is not secured and that your personal data, like your passwords or payments, might be exposed. But now, let's switch to the other tab, which is called Privacy. There are more security settings in here. The basic rule is to have everything activated. But let me just explain you these terms so you can decide for yourself if you want such functionality enabled or not. Let's start from the top. Prevent cross-site tracking. Cross-site means that there is someone in the background who is tracking you. Some websites use third-party content providers, and these providers can track your activity on the websites. It's done in order to understand your behavior and interests in order to advertise you some other products and services. If you turn this on, tracking data will be periodically deleted and it will be blocking these hidden trackers. Now let's move on to the other option, hide IP address. In general, this option helps protect you from unwanted tracking. This will basically separate you, meaning separate your computer from the website you are visiting. But it's a bit more complex than that, so I'll talk about it in some different video. I think this is a good time for you to subscribe if you don't want to miss that. Next option here is about private browsing. And with this option, you have the ability to lock tabs you are visiting. And to finish with all of these extra security settings, you will need to switch to another tab, which is called Advanced. There is another section connected to privacy in here. I don't really understand why all of these settings are spread across multiple tabs in Safari settings. But if everything was too easy, I would probably not make these complex courses about macOS, so I better not complain about it and rather go back to Safari settings so I can tell you more about these options which are connected to privacy. First one is called Use Advanced Tracking and Fingerprinting Protection. I have it set only for private browsing. I don't need to be locking all of the tabs I visit with a fingerprint. But if you are often in some public places with your Mac, you can switch it to all browsing. This one allows websites to check for Apple Pay and Apple Card. If you have Apple Pay enabled on your device and visiting any app or a website that uses Apple Pay, when you reach the point of buying something from that particular website, it will automatically offer you to use Apple Pay and you can quickly proceed with the payment. Of course, if you are not using Apple Pay on your computer at all, you can turn off this option. Next one is called Privacy Preserving Measurements of Ad Effectiveness. It is similar to the other one, the cross-site tracking options we have stopped on the Privacy tab. This one works a little bit differently. When this option is enabled, Safari will send reports to advertisers, helping them measure the effectiveness of their campaigns. But it's actually done without compromising your privacy. So you will be seeing ads based on your viewing history, on your interests, while still preserving your privacy. So these reports do not contain any personal information. So it's really useful option to keep activated. You don't want to be seeing some random apps on the pages you are visiting. Next down here, you also have the option to block all cookies. This is basically the only option I have unticked here. Cookies are in general just a little bit of information. For example, your login information. Cookies are not a threat to your privacy, so you don't need to block it. Because if you do that, you might actually block some other content on the pages you are visiting. And functionality of a lot of websites rely on cookies. They sometimes need to know who you are and what are you doing on the page. Typical example for that is YouTube. In order to play a video on YouTube which is age restricted or location restricted, the page needs to have this information about you, otherwise it can't be played. YouTube will not let you watch the video until it confirms that you are allowed to see it. I hope it's clear now. So this has been a quick look at security settings which are inbuilt in Safari. It is a good idea to keep all of this information in mind. You will basically not need to do anything about it, as most of these options are activated by default. But it's good to double check it, and it's useful to know what are all of these settings about. And I think it's also useful to subscribe to the channel if you are enjoying these kind of videos and want to learn more about your Apple devices. In that case, I will see you in the next video.